Hello, it's Beta Break, and a few months ago I participated in a contest where a Lego MOC had to be within a 6 by 64 by 6 2/3 area and contain a certain amount of minifigures. The idea is that the MOCs would fit perfectly into a certain display case meant for minifigure scenes. I ended up building 3 MOCs for this contest, each with a very different theme and idea. The first MOC I built is not exactly what a Miniscene is, but it was an idea that I wanted to try. The basic idea behind the MOC is that while the children are listening to the story, they are imagining the vast world it holds. This side of the MOC has the library, with bookshelf walls filled with books. This provided a challenge, and the middle shelves just sit loosely in place. The books are stacks of 1 by 2 plates. I also added some other trinkets on the bookshelves and some books on the floor. The imagined world is on the other side of the bookshelf and is connected through some thought bubbles. Over on the imagination side, I tried to make a word bubble with some words to make it look like the page of a book. The rest of the world has a small town next to the water with a large castle built against a mountain. I added some details to the town and the inside of the castle. Inside the mountain is a large cave with an underground lava castle and a lava river. I don't know how this connects to the rest of the story, but it's imagination, so anything goes. I also really enjoyed the challenge that some of the rockwork posed. On the other side of the mountain is a colorful fantasy world made with different bright pinks and purples. I enjoyed making the colorful trees, and again, don't know how it connects to the rest of the story. It's imagination. This MOC stretches the idea of a mini-scene, but I like it, and it's one of my favorites. This next mini-scene is a Spider-Man build inspired by the CMF figure. In this scene, I have Spider-Man swinging across the street towards a Doctor Strange portal. Starting on this side of the MOC, there's a small apartment kitchen with someone watching the action through their window. Outside of the apartment, a web is stuck to the wall, which is attached to a strand of web connected to Spider-Man. The sidewalk has a couple of pedestrians who are surprised by the sudden action. Because I couldn't fit a whole car in the street, I made a couple of sections of car to make it look like they are driving by. This car actually has a cool section here where I used some curved 1x1s to pose the exhaust at an angle. In the middle of the street, I have a robotic arm smashing into the concrete and probably causing all this chaos. Spider-Man is posed next to it with a couple of action stands and shooting a web towards the portal. The other sidewalk has a fire hydrant and another passerby surprised by the action and portal opening in front of him. On the other side of the portal is some part of the Sanctum Sanctorum where there are a bunch of random objects and items all around, and of course, Doctor Strange is in the middle. Now, I don't actually have a Doctor Strange minifigure, so I created my own with some clothing and a hair that made sense along with his cloak. For the head, I used a blank minifigure head. To hide all these details, I simply posed him facing away from the front of the scene. The shelves are filled with a bunch of random objects, and the crate has some red transparent parts in it. In the corner, I used a web and some vines to fill up some space. I really like the random brick wall used in the back of this. This scene is probably the most action-packed of the 3 mini-scenes I had made, and has some pretty cool techniques. The third and final mini-scene is a forest. I knew pretty early on that I wanted to have a stream through it, and while a lot of dioramas and MOCs have a blue color, I wanted to go for a more realistic clear look. Because of the limited amount of plates and tiles in Transclear, it is a very weak connection, but it looks cool. Around the stream, I put some birch trees, which usually grow around sources of water, and further away I placed some more brown trees. The ground is covered in foliage and lots of different grasses and leaves. In the middle of the forest, there's a path that a couple of minifigures are hiking along. On the other side is a darker, larger forest with some even bigger trees. In this section I put a little less foliage and put the archer doing some target practice. There's also a chicken nest back here for some reason. The far side of the MOC is a cave with a couple of miners, their tools, and some gold. This is probably the most realistic of my 3 mini-scenes. It's pretty cool how so many different things can be created with the same boundaries and prompts, and that's one of the things I like about LEGO. Unfortunately, none of these MOCs won, but I still really enjoyed designing and making them. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for some more LEGO MOCs.